Should have started recording this back when I started. My apologies, I forgot. All right, but let me give you my script when I'm calling referrals. Okay, let's say I met with Edgar. Edgar refers me to Robertson. They got a really good relationship, right? I try to get referrals into close markets. Don't give me just an acquaintance. Give me somebody that you're close to. That if I just say your first name, they know is you. I don't care if you have a common name like John. Like if I say John, they know it's you. That's how I try to get referred to. So let's say I met with Edgar last week and he referred me to Robertson, right? Them two are like college best friends. Let's just say that, right? So I call Robertson, ring, ring. He says what? Hello, right? Robertson, I ask, is this Robertson? Yes, Robertson, this is Tony. Thank you so much for taking my phone call. I really appreciate it. I'm actually calling in reference to Edgar. Did he tell you I was going to give you a call, or is this completely out of the blue? Robertson, 99% of the time, you know what they're going to say? Nah, Edgar didn't mention nothing. Okay, no problem. Listen, let me take a step back and share with you why I'm calling. That way you're not wondering who the heck this crazy guy is on the other line. Is that okay with you? Yes, okay, cool. Last week, I was having a conversation with Edgar. We were having a business conversation. And in that conversation, he mentioned your name. And he really thought it'd be beneficial if you and I had a chance to chat so I could share with you some of the work that I do. Robertson's going to say, what? Well, what do you do? Right? Well, I'm glad you asked. Listen, I work in the area of insurance and investments. I specialize in income tax reduction strategies, business planning, and insurance management. Now, Robertson, I want to tell you up front real quick. Edgar has no idea or assumption that you're in the market for our services. He's not assuming anything of you. He just knows the caliber of people I like to work with, and he thought that you and I would benefit from a conversation. Robertson, you're in Naples, Florida, am I right? Yes, I am. You know, Robertson, coincidentally enough, tomorrow and the next day, I'm going to be in Naples, Florida. I've got a couple meetings out there. When's a good time for us to sit down and chat for a good 30, 40 minutes? That's my pitch. Now, why is it important that I get Edgar off the hook, right? Think about this. When people give referrals, the first thing they like to say to you is what? Well, I got to talk to them first and get their permission. They're not, first off, they're not going to talk to them. They're not going to get their permission, right? So if you get that objection, you got to overcome that objection, right? How I overcome it is I'll say, like, let's say last week I was talking to Edgar and I asked him for referrals and Edgar's like, well, I got to talk to Robertson first, right? I'm going to say this to Edgar. Edgar, I was referred to you by Tanisha. You remember that? Yes. Did Tanisha give you a call first and let you know that I existed? Or did she give me your name and number because of the caliber of person that you are, knowing that I wouldn't pry into your business if you weren't interested? I mean, when you called me, you weren't expecting my call, am I right? No, I wasn't. You know why that is? Because let's be real. They're gonna tell you they're not interested when they hear it from you, but they may say they'll listen to me when they hear it from me. But I promise you, Edgar, I'm not going to burn the bridge. I'm not going to burn that relationship. If they're not interested from the beginning, I promise you I'll get off the phone and make sure I don't harm that relationship. I'll even get you off the hook when I call. I'll make sure he knows that you're not you're not assuming anything of them. Is that okay with you? Okay, cool, no problem. Boom, and they give you the numbers. Why? Because it's part of my script. Robertson, I'm calling in reference to Edgar. Did he tell you I was going to call you, or is this out of the blue? Oh, it's out of the blue. Well, let me tell you what happened. I talked to Edgar last week. We had a business meeting. That's all true. He mentioned your name. He thought that, you know, he knows the caliber of people I like to work with. So now I'm indirectly complimenting Robertson. He knows the caliber of people I like to work with. And he thought that you and I would benefit from a conversation. I'm going to tell you right now, you know, here's what I do. Boom, boom, boom. But the moment I share what I do, I got to get Edgar off the hook. And look at my pitch when I explain what I do. I work in the area of insurance and investments. I specialize in income tax reduction planning. Who doesn't want to know about income tax reduction strategies? Insurance management and business planning, right? That's what I specialize in. But look, Robertson, I just want you to know, Edgar's under no assumption you're in the market for my services. He just knows the caliber of people I like to work with and thought that you and I would benefit from a conversation. And then here's my hook, right? I don't ask for permission. It's an indirect question. Robertson, you're in Naples, aren't you? Yes. Coincidentally, I'm going to be out there next to tomorrow and the following day. I've got meetings out there to go see some clients. When's a good time for me to stop in for you and I to have a 30, 40-minute conversation? I'm already in the neighborhood. Now, could that be a fib? It could be a little white lie. Maybe I'm not. Maybe he's the first call I make of the week and I'm just filling up the calendar. But I'd rather him feel like I'm already going to be out there so that he doesn't feel like I'm going out of my way to see him. I'd rather that. Now, you might say, well, Tony, who do you do this with? You got to start somewhere. And the way I start is through leads. If I don't have a market to get into, I'm going to call leads. I'm going to build rapport and relationship with them. And then I'm going to make those leads refer me. If I'm working final expense leads, 65 plus, I want them to refer me to who? Their kids. I want to start working into the younger market, because the older market, I like working in the older market, but I'm more limited in the older market on what I can bring to the table. If I start getting into the 35, 40 market, that's the sweet spot, because now I'm dealing with people who got old 401ks from old employers. Now I'm dealing with people who got higher discretionary income. Now I'm dealing with people who have retirement goals, want to put money away. Now I'm dealing with people that can where the IUL makes sense. IUL isn't, I'm not a big fan of selling permanent insurance plans like IULs to people in their 55 plus. Sometimes it just don't make sense unless they're going to really be putting in some substantial dollars into it. If not, sometimes it's a hindrance. And I don't believe in that. I don't want to put the person in the worst place. So I have to identify who my ideal client is. Have you identified who your ideal client is? I'll tell you mine right now. You give me 30 to 50, that's a sweet spot for me. They're more mature. They're already in their career phase. They've got more responsibilities. They're probably married, kids. That's the market right there I want to be in. It's not that I won't work in a 20-year-old market or a 65-year-old market. I will, but I know that the sweet spot, that 30 to 50, that's my sweet spot right there. So when you're asking for referrals, identify it. Identify it. When you pitch, hey, can you introduce me to some people? Let them know, hey, these are the type of people I'm looking to get in front of. People between 30 to 50 years of age, making over $50,000 a year, married, kids, responsibilities, business-minded people. I'd like to get introduced to those people. Because if not, they're introduced to the 19, 20-year-old college students making $9 an hour. I'm limited on what I can do with that person. It's not that they don't deserve. It's not that you can't help them, but you're also not intentionally trying to get into that market. If a client refers you to someone, oh, I need you to talk to my nephew, my grandchild. Yes, of course, I'm going to help you. But when you're blindly asking for referrals, identify your market. Identify who you want to work with. Identify your personalities that you want to work with. I'll tell you right now, I am not a technical guy. I don't do well with conversations with engineers. I don't do well with those types of conversations with people that want those nitty gritty. I can get into it. I've been in this industry long enough. I can get into that. You want me to talk to an engineer who wants to know the reason and the rhyme why this is this long and this is this long and why it turns this way. I can do it, but I don't enjoy it. Now, you put me in front of attorneys, right? You put me in front of small business owners, people that are like, they're 50-foot bird's eye view type of salespeople. That's how they want to hear it. They don't care about the detail. Oh, I'm in my sweet spot right there all day long. That is all day long. But you give me somebody like an accountant, an engineer, those technical people, I'll play around. But if I start to see that they think that way, I'm more than likely I'm going to match you up to work with one of my agents that thinks that way too. Because the thing about me with sales is I create an emotional connection. I'm an emotional seller, right? I'm going to talk about the importance of life insurance, the benefit of protecting your family, the ability to grow money tax free. I'm going to harp on how Uncle Sam's going to eat away at your taxes later. Like, I'm an emotional guy, right? And technical engineers are like, they're logical. They're like, show me the numbers. Why does line number 6, how does line number 6 affect line number 8 at what percentage, what ratio? And does the moon need to be up here tilted at an angle when this IUL, like, wait, what? Hold up. You done lost me already. So if I know that I struggle with those personalities, not that I can't work with them, I've learned to work with multiple types of personality and such, but I've learned that if I struggle with it, why ask for it? You have to identify your client. Who is your client? I'll tell you my client right now. A lot of people would say the Latino community. Yes and no. You want to know my ideal client? 30 to 50 years of age, Latino, but grew up here in the United States. That's my market. You give me a 30 to 50-year-old market that speaks English and Spanish that grew up here in either a big city like New York or Miami. That is my market. That is my sweet spot right there. You give me a 30-year-old, 40-year-old who just came to this country 5 years ago, I don't relate to them. And here's the problem. They almost sometimes look down at me. They look at me like I'm spoiled. Like, man, you didn't go through the struggles we went through when we were back in the motherland, right? You came to this country when you were 4. So now all of a sudden, they don't give you that respect. I'm just being 100% honest. I struggle in that market a little bit. When I get that market, I'm the first one to say, okay, I got to find somebody in my agency that can relate to them a little bit more. Because if I feel like that's going to be a struggle, that's going to be a struggle. The other piece of the puzzle is their mindset of life insurance is very different. Like, look, you get in front of a 35-year-old in Mexico that's only been here for 5 years. You have to understand the world they came from. They came from a world where their government was able to go into their bank accounts and just take money out without their permission. They don't trust insurance to begin with. And so you've got to first overcome the fact that insurance is important and valuable, and we're not going to do you what happened in your country before you even make your pitch. So again, it's not that I won't help that person, but I'm not gonna ask to be referred into that market all the time, right? And some of you might be like indirectly arguing with me, thinking, man, we're supposed to help everybody. Yes, we are supposed to help everybody. But if I can help 15 people at the same speed that it takes me to help 2 people because their mindset's different, because I relate more to this mindset versus this one, I'd rather help the 15. And if I get referred into the 2, I'm gladly going to help them, but I'm not going to ask for them. Somebody else in my organization needs to be asking for those 2. So when I get referred, that's who I want. You look at my book of business, I got so many attorneys as clients. I got so many doctors as clients. Believe it or not, doctors are not very technical. Doctors, when it comes to numbers, like I hate saying it, I'm not trying to give a stereotype, but what I've learned, a lot of them are dumber than a bag of rocks when it comes to numbers. They know everything in reference to the body and organs and this and that. You talk to them numbers and they're like deer in the headlight. They don't know nothing. They love talking to people like me. They love it. Doctors I do great with. Nurses I do great with. Business owners I do great with. Lawyers, oh, I do phenomenal with them. You put an engineer in front of me, oh my God, I gotta brace myself. I gotta get a drink before I get into that meeting. Rico here is laughing because he's an engineer. I'm about to have my analysis for him. I'm getting ready. I got a bottle right next to me. and again, listen, there's nothing wrong with it. Some people interpret things very differently. And I've learned, how do I interpret and how do I pitch? I know the personality of people that gravitate to that. I know the personality of people that gravitate to that. I know very technical advisors, and they love working with engineers. They love working with accountants because they don't have to be emotional in their sales. They just got to spend a good 30, 40 minutes breaking down an illustration and explaining why this number affects this and this number affects that. And they're gold, and they love that world. To me, cut my veins open. Oh my Lord Jesus. It's just the way you got to learn that piece. You got to learn that piece. So anyways, now to get in, this is why I said it's going to be an hour and a half, because I wanted to talk about that piece first before I got into the training that I wanted to address. Health insurance deadline is on the 15th of this month, which is tomorrow. If I was you guys, I'd be hitting hard right now on social media, your friends and everybody, talking about, hey, if you're looking for health insurance and you want it to be free, hit me up. Hit me up, because I'm being very honest. There are ways for certain people to get free health insurance. And although the deadline's the 15th and you can operate on that urgency, okay, there are ways that you can get them that coverage on the 16th, 17th, 18th. There are ways to do it, okay? But leverage the fact that right now what's being advertised everywhere in the country is that the deadline is the 15th of August. Whether you have a health license or you don't, refer it over. I'll help you with it. I got a handful of other agents that do health insurance as well. But we're going to try to find other opportunities within life and annuity, credit repair, and other things. E-commerce is one, all that stuff that's there. That's my big thing. Symposium, guys. Symposium. Remember the dates, October 19th and 20th. Let me make sure I'm getting those dates right. October 19th and 20th is our first TKO symposium in South New Jersey. I would encourage everybody to make plans to attend. The 19th is only advanced sales. So VPs, you're automatically invited, okay? But if you're not a VP, I need you to qualify to attend. Why do I want you to qualify? Because it's all advanced sales, guys. This is not going to be a, everybody free for all, come sit in and learn. No, we're talking about advanced infinite banking, advanced premium financing, advanced annuity sales, advanced group benefits. You're going to be hearing from other FMOs. I'm talking wealth management advisors that they only work with people that make $250,000 or higher of income. It's such high level type training that the newest agent who hasn't really gotten his feet wet in the industry, it's gonna be too much. It might actually scare them. But for the person that can show results and show numbers, I want that person to come because I know that person has the potential. What does it take to go and be invited to the advanced sales? Either you're a VP number 1 or number 2, you qualify. Qualification is this: 10,000 of business submitted this month, 10,000 of business issued the next month. Submit 10 this month, issue 10 next month. My opinion, you should try to focus on submitting 15 so you can issue 10. Give yourself a little bit of room. Don't expect that if you submit all 10 this month, you're going to get all 10 of it approved next month. Submit 10 this month, issue 10. And when I say 10, I'm talking about 10,000 of annual premium. So you look at the life insurance policy, right? If it's a term policy, what is the annual amount? That annual number is what you can count towards your premium. If you sell them an IUL or a permanent policy, there's going to be something called target on the illustration. What's the target premium? You can count that towards your 10,000. If you sell an annuity, it's 6% of whatever you're bringing in. So a $100,000 annuity would count for 6,000 of annual premium. 10,000 submitted this month, 10,000 issued next month, and you get invited to the advanced sales, which is day 1. That's the 19th of October. The 20th of October, everybody's invited. Everybody's invited. You should be focused heavily on making sure you attend and you bring as many people with you as you can. That is 100% going to be exclusively for TKO. We've got a conference room that we reserved. We've got SILAC has already committed to coming and doing a workshop. We've got American National is already committed to coming and doing a workshop. I'm trying to get North American and I'm trying to get Allianz to be the other 2 vendors that come, the other carriers that come. All the vendors are going to have their booths. They're all going to have booths. They're all going to run their own little clinics and workshops and stuff like that. But I'm trying to get some of our higher companies that we write to exclusively come into our conference room, TKO's conference room, and do a workshop and a clinic and a training. Okay, we've got Donna McLaughlin, and if you guys know Donna runs my back office annuity sales team. She's going to be doing training. Okay, we've got Neelam and John Countryman. Neelam handles high risk cases. John handles the sales illustration side. They're going to be coming and doing training. As of right now, we're looking at getting breakfast and lunch catered by some of these vendors for us. And then in the evening time, we're going to do a tour of our IMO's home office. You get a chance to kind of see the day to day. It's in South Jersey. Is there a cost for this convention? No, there's no big event ticket here. Okay, guys, you don't got to worry about that. You just got to find a way to get your butt over there. Fly out. Okay, I just looked at it. The tickets are cheap. If you're going to fly out, you're flying into Philadelphia Airport. Even though the event is in Jersey, Pennsylvania and Jersey ride side by side. It's easier to fly into the Philadelphia Airport, which is PhD, and then drive into the symposium. The symposium is at the DoubleTree by Hilton. If you log into TKO's website and you've already gotten access, there's a tab that just got added in this week called TKO Symposium. You can click it and all the details are there. There's a link to register to let me know you're coming. There's a second link to register and reserve your hotel. We got the hotel at a discounted price, $129 a night for 1 king bed or $139 a night for 2 full-size beds. So if you want to link up with a couple of your guys and go in one room, great. Are you required to stay at that hotel? No. But I will tell you, I would appreciate if you do, because the only reason we're able to get it at the discounted price is because I'm giving them a commitment of a certain amount of rooms that are going to be booked. Otherwise, they won't do it for us. But I also don't want to lie to you and tell you, you have to come and stay at this place. This place happens to be where the symposium is going to be at. So we have a conference room there reserved for us. So I'm not going to lie. It's easier if where you're staying is also where we're going. Okay. Is this going to be one of those 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. things? Rah. No, it's not that at all. Not that at all. This is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Breaks in between, lunch in between. You know, this is not going to be, oh, I'm walking into a room where people are chanting and cheering. No, this is very professional, business casual. You're going to see a lot of people in this industry, guys, older, younger, that work this industry to a whole nother level. Medicare agencies, final expense agencies, real estate investment agencies. All of these agencies leverage our IMO for their insurance sales. And some of them are going to be running their own trainings. There's guys there that are writing $2, $3, $4 million worth of, IUL business in their pen, off their pen. You want to learn that. So advanced sales, if you want to come to advanced sales, like I said, push to qualify. The next day, the 20th, is just general training open for everybody. The next day after that, I'm going to do a TKO fun day. So, I don't know what we're going to do. I got to still check out, see what's in town out there, but I would like to do something because it's going to be near South Jersey. We're in Philly. It'd be good to take a day and do some stuff, maybe have a team dinner, enjoy some of the sightseeing, and then obviously fly back. Flights are dirt cheap right now, guys. I mean, they're dirt cheap. So here's what I need from all of you when we're done with training here, okay? If you're not on our TKO website, make sure you get on, okay? It's tkofinancialnetwork.com. You're gonna go to the top right, you're gonna hit agent login, you're gonna create an account, your username is gonna be an email and then whatever password you create. That email has to be the email you used when you enrolled into our company, because that's what my back office team is gonna look at to make sure you're an actual agent of ours. We're gonna look in our login for enrollments and match the emails. If we don't match the emails, we can't approve you. We might shout out on the Voxer, hey, who's got this email, to find out. But I need you to create an account in that website. Once you create an account in that website, here's your homework. Once we're done with training, go to the TKO Symposium tab, and those two hyperlinks, one of them I need, whether you're going or you're not going, I need you to go into the attendance link and tell me in that link if you're going or you're not. Tell me if you're going. I need to know who's going, who's not going. So this homework is for everybody, whether you're going or not, to go in there. And if you're ready to register for your hotel and lock it in, the second link is there for your hotel as well too. Okay, that's the only homework I'm giving everybody here right now. If you could just give me that courtesy, so I have a good snapshot of how many people I can anticipate to attend, how many people I can anticipate not attending, and who those people are. That'd be good to have. Fair enough? Everybody's good? Good? Okay, cool. The contest, just so you know, the 10,000 submit, the 10,000 issue comes with a prize as well. Not only do you get invited to the Advanced Sales Symposium, but if you do 10,000 of it, and if you go into the website, you'll see TKO contest. You'll see that there's an initiative for it. There's $500 worth of prizes we're giving you if you hit that mark. It could be a coach purse. It could be a tailored suit. It could be a spa. If you want to level up, for those of you who are competitive, if you submit 20,000 this month and issue 20,000 this next month, submit 20 this month, issue 20 next month, you get $1,000 worth of a prize. That could be, a weekend getaway. That could be an iWatch. I forgot what the other thing was. I think it was just that. And then if you level up again and you do 30,000 submitted this month, 30,000 issued next month, it's $1,500 worth of a prize that I'm giving away. And when I mean 1,500, I'm talking about either a 4-day cruise with a $1,500 value or a brand new iPad for you to operate your business much more effectively and efficiently. Right? So 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, but you need to at least do 10 submitted this month, 10 issued next month to go to the advanced sales of the symposium, which is again the 19th. The 20th is for everybody. Good? Good? Okay. Let's get into the training. I wanted to train on the difference between term insurance, permanent insurance, because you're going to hear a lot about this concept, especially from companies like Primerica, about buy term, invest the difference. Now, I'm going to try to be as non-biased as I can. I'm going to tell you the good and the bad of these scenarios. And why am I going to say it that way? Because if someone that you meet is adamant about buy term, invest the difference, they can do that with us here within TKO. They can do that here. I don't want you to think that I'm the guy that's always going to be pushing one solution for everybody. There's companies like, I don't want to give company names. There's companies that love to push the IUL as the solution for everybody. Guys, the IUL is not the solution for everybody. It's a solution for about 75% of the people that fit certain parameters, but it's not a solution for everybody. If I'm meeting with a 67-year-old client on a fixed income who wants life insurance to pay for the final cost, I'm not pushing an IUL. None. I'm going to try to sell the person a quality final expense policy. And if they have a little bit of discretionary money, I'm going to try to sell them a guaranteed universal life policy before I try to sell them an IUL. Because a 67-year-old is not thinking about asset growth. A 67-year-old is thinking about legacy. And a final expense policy and a GUL policy give you just that. It gives you the guarantee, GUL, guaranteed universal life, that there's going to be a death benefit on the back end, or a final expense release, which is your traditional whole life. Look at the name whole life. Why is it called whole life? Because it's designed to be there your whole life. That's why it's called whole life, for those of you who ever question, right? Those two focus more on the legacy of leaving behind insurance versus the cash accumulation that an IUL has. And a 67-year-old doesn't think cash accumulation. A 70-year-old doesn't think cash accumulation. Think about you in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, right? Think about you in every 10-year decades. What was on your mind during that decade? I guarantee it was very different than what's on your mind now. I'm 37. I'll be 38 next week. The 38-year-old version of me thinks very differently than the 28-year-old version of me. The 28-year-old version of me thinks very differently than the 18-year-old version of me. So I say that to you because if you're in the age bracket where accumulation of wealth is important, IUL is perfect. I'm a big believer of it. I'm a big believer of it. I just literally applied for more coverage myself. And what am I doing? I'm doing it with an Allianz IUL. I am. Do you know why? Because this business is growing. Sandra, my significant other, handles the back end licensing side of it. I made her the beneficiary of the policy because I realized if something happens to me, I need to make sure she's good. But I'm at the age bracket where accumulation makes sense, so the IUL makes sense, right? But 67-year-old version of me is not going to care about accumulation at that time. At that time, all I care about is making sure that as much of my liquid assets is what Sandra and I use during retirement, as much life insurance that I currently have now lasts later on to leave behind a legacy. But if I don't have insurance, I just want to make sure, guys, I just want to make sure that $10,000, $15,000 death benefit, cremation cost, funeral cost is covered. And if I can leave a little bit more behind for the family, give them a little bit of leg up, I will. Cash accumulation is not what I'm going to be thinking about in my 60s. It's not. So that's why I say to you, buy term invested difference doesn't work all the time, right? Now, what exactly is the whole idea behind buy term invested difference? Let me break that down so you understand it. And this is powerful from a recruiting standpoint because you're going to come across Primerica guys. And when you do, you got to be ready to be able to have this conversation with them. The idea behind buy term invested difference is this. They always operate on $1 million number. It's always $1 million number, just so you know. So what they want people to do is they say, okay, look, this side is the insurance side. You're going to pick up $1 million of term life insurance. $1 million. You pick up $1 million worth of term life insurance at $30 a month. Let's just say, right? And you're going to save $180 plus over here. I'm just using 180 as a number, it's just a random number, right? You're going to save, X amount of number here. Let me not put the 180 in here because it might confuse people into thinking it's 180. You're going to put X amount of money here. Now, the idea is this term policy is going to last you 30 years. When this term policy expires and it's gone, your invested difference amount should be at $1 million worth. So all you're literally doing is you're just replacing the responsibility. That's the whole buy term invested difference. Buy $1 million term now to have $1 million of coverage now. Invest the difference, and then 30 years from now, your investment account should be worth $1 million. When your term expires, you still leave behind $1 million to your family. That's the whole concept behind it. Why doesn't it work? I'll tell you why it doesn't work. It doesn't work because of this number. This number has to be an adequate number that will turn into $1 million when they hit retirement. The problem with buy term invested difference is a lot of the agents will focus on selling you a term insurance policy and don't even have the securities licenses to sell you the investment side. or a lot of agents will sell you the term policy, but then only put them in a $50 a month, $40 a month, $100 a month investment account. And let's be honest, I'm being dead honest. $100 a month anywhere will not make you $1 million when you hit retirement. I repeat that, $100 anywhere. There's not an IUL on the planet that'll turn $100 a month into $1 million. There's not a stock portfolio on the planet that'll turn $100 a month into $1 million. It's just not. Maybe if you start at 4, 5, 6 years of age, but when most people start saving, mid-20s, 30s, it's not. It's not. So this concept doesn't work for everybody. It just doesn't. Right? I mean, if this is what I'm banking on, when I turn 60, 65 and my $1 million of insurance, let's say, here's another big problem with the buy term invested difference, right? A 20-year-old 30 years from now is only 50. You mean to tell me at 50 years of age, I'm losing this term policy? I have no more coverage? I'm 50. Guys, 50, when I had my kids when I was in my mid-20s. I was like 26, 27. Yeah, 26, yeah, right? So when I turn 50, that'll be 12 years from now. 12 years from now, my son is 24. My daughter's 23. So my parents out there, you think at 23, 24, your kids can hang on their own without you? No, they still need you. So you mean to tell me that if I bet $1 million term policy in my 20s and then at 50, my 30-year period expires, I have no more insurance. What if I medically can't get any more coverage? What if something happened to me along the 30-year window and I became sick or ill and I now don't qualify for insurance, and now all of a sudden my family's exposed because I'm 50, I have no insurance to leave behind? Never mind my kids, what about my significant other? My significant other relies on my income in order to hit retirement goals. If something happens to me and I pass away, that insurance money, assuming my kids don't need it, she would need it. But, and guess what? I know for sure this portfolio is not big enough to replace me. This is why buy term invested difference doesn't always work. Where does buy term invested difference work? I'll tell you where it works. I'll tell you where it works. If you deal with a client that is a responsible investor, savvy investor, responsible and savvy. Responsible meaning they're very dedicated to putting their monthly contributions away. Savvy in the sense that they understand the difference of investments. They understand real estate. They understand crypto. They understand stock markets. They're savvy in that world. And they've already got assets in place. Like when you meet them, they've already got $300,000 put away. And they've been able to grow that $300,000 on their own because they're savvy and they're responsible. Buy term invested difference there could make sense. Why? Because this $1 million number can be achieved now with what they've already acquired, plus the invested difference that you set up for them, right? It's a combination. But guess what? They're also very responsible. They're not putting away $100 a month here. These guys are dedicated. They're putting away, $300, $400, $500, $600 a month without you having to remind them to. You want to know if somebody's investment savvy? Yeah, because you're going to meet with people all the time. Oh, I'll do it. Then you say, okay, how much do you have in your savings? How much somebody has in their savings account will dictate how responsible they are with their money. Because when you do a budget on a client and you find out that they've got $500, $600 left over every month after they pay all their bills, but then you look in their savings account and they've got $20, that's not responsible. You know what that means? That means that they're blowing $500, $600 a month away somewhere. So when I talk to a client and the client tells me, oh, I could put away $300 a month, but they don't have any track record of showing that, I have to worry if that's going to be a chargeback. Because if I put them in 300 and they can't do it 3 months later because of their spending habits, holy crap, what's that mean? See, buy term invested difference is a concept that I personally believe in for the wealth. I think the wealth of America do this. And even then, the wealth of America will have some type of permanent insurance inside their portfolio. They'll have term and they'll have a permanent policy because they recognize leveraging other people's money is a very smart investment decision. You always want to leverage other people's money. I would rather leverage the insurance company's money as a way to leave behind legacy. Because here's the thing. If I accomplish this, let's say theoretically I accomplish this, right? I started my 20s, I get into my 60s, I now got $1.5 million in assets. I'm in my 60s, I got $1.5 million, I have no more term insurance. Why? Because it expired. I'm too old now, I'm in my 60s, and guess what? You know, insurance at that age is expensive as hell. So now I got 1.5 million. What do you think what do you think a 65-year-old wants to do with that 1.5 million? You have A, use it for themselves and their spouse and live a great retirement. B, not spend it during their lifetime and leave it behind for their kids. Which of the two do you think they'd rather do? They'd rather spend it. They'd rather spend it. But they look at it and they say, man, I wish I could leave behind something for my family. I'll tell you what I'd rather do. If I acquire $1.5 million of liquid assets, I want to have $1.5 million of life insurance as well. You know why? I want to use that 1.5 million liquid now. I'm gonna live my life. Yes, leaving a legacy is important, but living my life also is important. I love my children. I do. I love my children, but God sacrificed his son's life so that we could all live, not just my kids. I gotta live too. So I want to take that 1.5 million. I want to travel the world with my significant other. I want to travel and do anything I want to do. And literally, when I hit 95, I want to have $0 left in this bank account. I want to have $0 left of that 1.5. I want to be able to say, man, Dad from 65 to 90 rode that car till the wheels fell off. He used every dime. And when I pass away, I want my kids to still inherit 1.5 million. Not of my money though, or the insurance company's money. That's what that's what the wealth of America does. That's what they think of. So even the wealth of America that does buy term invest the difference, they do this, but they still have they still treat permanent insurance as part of their invest the difference. It's just not their only portfolio. It's not their only thing. And I'm not going to be a hypocrite and tell you, that should be your only thing. Guys, IUL is not my only thing. It's not. I'll tell you right now, in the next 6 months to a year, I'm looking to get some serious e-commerce stores set up with Ace Financial. If you don't know about that e-commerce program, guys, you need to jump in on it. But I got an investment portfolio. Right now, I'm heavy in crypto. Does it mean I don't have IUL? Of course it does. I have IULs. I have permanent insurance. I do. Right? Because look, conservatively, I look at that as like my conservative investments. I'm young enough where I could still be aggressive. I can still be aggressive, right? No problem. But I need a place to harbor, to safe harbor money. I need a place where when the markets go down, I don't got to worry about that portfolio being affected. And what are my options conservatively? The bank that pays nothing, right? Municipal bonds that pay 1.5%, or IULs that's paying 5.5%, 6%, 7% return. It's a no-brainer. See, nobody can tell me you should do only this, or you should only do permanent. Guys, I have term and permanent. Why? Because I want my permanent to be what I leave behind for my family when I'm in my 90s. But term insurance is so stinking cheap that it just makes sense to have right now. If something happens to me now, early in life, I want my kids getting $2 million of insurance, but I don't have $2 million of permanent. I don't. I have permanent and term. I got about $1 million something term, right? That's why I don't believe in that cookie cutter investment philosophy. Buy term, invest the difference. Buy term, invest the difference. You know why Primerica agents will only push this concept? You know why? Because they cannot sell anything else. The only thing they can sell is term insurance, term insurance, term insurance, term insurance, term insurance. They can't do anything else. And here's what's crazy. If the client gets declined, they have to push them away. They can't go look for another company. We can. I've got a few Primerica agents that low key, they'll refer me to people that they can't get coverage for because they can't find them a solution. I can though. I can. I mean, to pick on that a little bit more, I want you to understand something. If you're going to buy term life insurance, make sure you buy term life insurance with living benefits. Primerica's term does not have living benefits. They're going to say, we do. No, they don't. They have one of the three. They have terminal illness rider. If the person's got less than 6 months left to live, you could tap into that insurance money. Ours has chronic and critical that says if you have a hell of a lot longer to live, you don't need to have just 6 months. You can have until 100, but you get cancer or you need a nurse to take care of you because you develop a dementia or an Alzheimer's, you could tap into that money now. And it's your choice. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it's good to have choices. If you want to tap into it, tap into it. Tap into it. And you don't got to use it for medical bills. You can use it for living expenses like the electric, the water, the mortgage payment. Hell, guys, use my story. What brought me in this industry? My dad's accident. My dad's accident brought me in this industry because the life insurance policy he had was a Primerica policy. And they said to him, listen, Mr. Perez, we're glad you didn't pass away, but we can't give you any of this money. You didn't die. I'm like, wait a minute, you're talking about it like it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing that he didn't die? Now you can't help us? Now you got to die in order to get this money. If my dad would have had living benefits in his term policy, our situation might have been very different. Who knows? God does things for a certain reason. Maybe the reason that happened is because he wanted to guide me into this industry, because it was those 2 years of sacrifice that I had to put in to work 3-4 different jobs to replace my dad's income, my mom's income during that trial and tribulation that brought me into this industry. Maybe I would have never gotten in this industry if he would have had living benefits. But nonetheless, it's still a lesson I learned. It's still a lesson I learned. I just, let me see who's on here. Okay. I just literally met with an agent, just so you guys know, met with an agent last week, has a term policy primarily. I'm not going to show the illustration out of respect for her, but I can get her. I showed her, and I want you guys to be confident in this. When you come across someone who has a term policy with Primerica, I got her double the coverage for the same amount of money she's already paying for her term. Double the coverage. I doubled her insurance amount for the same amount of money, and I added living benefits, which she doesn't have. It was a no-brainer. But again, that's a tangent. The purpose of today's training is buy term, invest the difference. Where do I believe in this concept? The wealth. I believe the wealthy leverage this concept and they buy a crap ton of term and they invest the difference, but they're responsible investors and they have the liquidity to do that. I do not believe in buy term, invest the difference with your average everyday middle American. If all you're putting away is $200 a month or $250 a month and you're healthy and you're young, I would much rather, if you got $250 a month, take 200 of it, put it into a permanent insurance policy, take 50 of it, put it into a term policy, and let your invested difference be the permanent plan. And as you start to grow in wealth, then you start putting money away in other places. Because guys, even with that scenario of $250 a month that I just gave you, it will not retire him. I need them to understand that. And when I meet with my clients, I tell them, I go, listen, you're doing $200 a month into this IUL, you're doing $50 a month into this term. I need you to know something. This $200 a month is a chipping block. It's a chip off the block. You need to do more. You need to allow me to sit with you on an annual basis and challenge you to put more money away. Mr. Client, let me ask you a question. Your accountant focuses so much attention on helping you today save on taxes. Who's challenging you to hit your retirement goals? Who's challenging you to make sure you don't pay taxes later when you hit 65? There's nobody making you feel uncomfortable today except me. I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable today by challenging you today, but you're going to love me when you hit 60, 65 and you can retire. You know what your accountant's going to do? When you hit 65, I'm not going to answer your phone calls. That's what he's going to do. Because he only cared about helping you when you were in your 30s and your 40s. Let me help you save on taxes today. Worry about it later because I'm not going to be around later. No, Mr. Client, I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable today. Every year, I'm going to challenge you to put away more money. And it might be into more IUL. It might be to help you set up an e-commerce business. Maybe you need to set up an indexed annuity, a non-qualified index annuity. Start contributing into that. It's not all going to just be IUL, right? Like Robertson, you and I were having a conversation when I first met you about investing some of your short-term dollars. I would encourage you to look into e-commerce. I would 100% encourage you to look into e-commerce as an opportunity, right? I'm just being 100%. I would encourage some of you guys to look into non-qualified indexed annuities, non-qualified, and you can keep making contributions into it. It's not an IUL. So this is why I say to you, only term is not the answer. Only permanent is not the answer. Only investing in the market is not the answer. Only investing in crypto is not the answer. Only investing into IUL is not the answer. I'd be a hypocrite if I told you. I'd be a hypocrite if I told you. But different stages of people's lives will require different type of investment philosophies. It will. The younger people should be more aggressive. It doesn't mean they shouldn't have IULs, because the IUL needs to be there later for them. I don't have an IUL right now for the return. I have an IUL now because of the later. Because when my term insurance expires, I want to know that I have a permanent policy that's going to last me to 120 years of age. That because I took it out at an early age has accumulated a decent amount of cash where I don't have to keep making payments into it anymore. And if I want to tap into that cash, I can do it on a tax-free basis and tap into more money than what I put in. That's why I have an IUL. But is my IUL going to be what retires me? No, it's going to be a part of what retires me. It's going to be a part of what retires me. And that's the conversation you want to be able to have with people. That's the conversation you want to be able to have with people. So when you talk to the buy term invest the difference guys, don't knock them for it. Listen, I believe in that philosophy. I just don't think that philosophy is the only answer. And if I'm going to do a buy term invest the difference, you know what I want my term to have? I want my term to have living benefits. That's what we want. And we want to get as much of it as we can, because if you're telling me $50 a month gets me 300,000 with you, but $50 a month gets me 600,000 over there, I'm gonna go over there. And if over there gives me access to money in more ways than just dying, I'm gonna go over there. You know what they love to say then at that point, Primerica guys? Yeah, but the name Primerica, it's such a stand-up company. They've never not paid a claim. They've never not this. Listen, I got plenty of A-rated companies that are hella older than Primerica that have the same track record. It's okay. Nothing wrong with it. But I tell them, let's be honest. The reason you're saying this is because that's the only company you can sell. So if you want to have a conversation from a business standpoint, it has to not be emotional. Let's have a logical conversation. You want to talk to me what it's like working at TKO? Let's have a logical conversation, because if you're going to have an emotional conversation, you're going to stay where you're at, and that's okay. If you have a mentor that you love working with, you don't want to part ways with that relationship, you're going to stay where you're at, and that's okay. But if you're willing to have a logical conversation with me, not emotional, pound for pound, I have an opportunity that could help you a lot. That I believe would help you a lot, help your clients a lot. Not just from a product standpoint, but even from a commission standpoint. I do. But you got to be willing to have that conversation with them. If they say yes, great. If they say no, I don't even bother the recruiting side of it. You know what I try to do at that point? Get them on my Facebook, make them friends with me, hype them up, be a promoter of them. I mean, at the end of the day, listen, if they get to a client that I can't get to and they get at least a Primerica policy in place, I'd rather that than nothing. You know what I mean? They're still going into the same crusade as us. I would, right? And then become an asset, becoming an ally of them. Here's what I mean by becoming an ally. Listen, if you ever come across a client that you can't get coverage for, you come across an elderly client that doesn't qualify for term insurance and is looking for something more permanent, something that is going to pay the final costs, send them over my way, man. I'd love to help them. I'd love to help them, right? Keep doing what you're doing, bro. You're going to kill it. You're going to do amazing. But if you come across people that can't qualify for a Primerica policy, send them my way. Maybe I can help. At least I'm having something is better than having nothing, right? Bam. I love it. People, buy term, what's the difference? Are you securities licensed? No. What do you mean then? Buy term, period. That's all you got. Buy term, what's the difference? You're securities licensed? I am. Okay, cool. How much are your clients putting away? 15, 20 bucks a month? Really? $100 a month? Right? Here's something I do like about the permanent policy. It forces them to save every month. That's another thing I like about it. Because buy term invest the difference, remember, it requires somebody being responsible. They've got to make a decision to put this here, because at any moment in time, someone who's irresponsible could say, listen, I got the term, but stop my contributions into here. I don't want to make the payments into here anymore. So now it's by term, stopped the difference. IUL forces you to put away money every single month, no matter what, automatically out of your bank account, out of your bank account, out of your bank account. And I'm not gonna lie to you, some people in middle America, they need that type of structure. They need something forcing them to put money away, put money away. Otherwise, they won't put money away. They won't. You know, I read something recently, and I'll conclude it with this, guys. I read something recently where it said, the guy who makes 20,000, the guy that makes 50,000, the guy that makes 100,000, the guy that makes $250,000, they can all be broke if they don't have spending habits, if they don't have good spending habits. So whether you're making 10,000 a year, 20,000 a year, 30,000 a year, I don't care if you're only saving 50 bucks a month, creating the habit of saving every month means that when you do start making some serious money, you'll be an even bigger saver. You will be. So I refuse to believe that the person that says to me, I have no money, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, can't find a way to save 50 bucks a month. Unfortunately, though, we live in a world where people want immediate gratification, and therefore they don't save. They spend it and 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 they spend it. So why I like the IUL sometimes for people in middle America is because they have such bad spending habits that I'd rather the IUL force them to save because it's coming out of their bank account automatically every single month, whether they want it or not. So I like that, because now they can look back 5-10 years from now and be like, I have that much money in savings. You wouldn't have had it if I had to rely on you writing the check out every month, but you have it because the IUL forced it out of you. That's how I view it, at least. That's how I view it. I've got people in middle America, I got people in wealth of America, and they all have mixed. I try to get them to have variety of investments. I talk about e-commerce right now, guys, because guys, it is popping right now. I think it's a great investment. With the way the world is right now, people are buying online more than ever because of COVID-19 and because of the pandemic. I mean, it's become a normal thing. So for you as an investor to make 10 to 20% return by having an actual e-commerce store built for you, knowing that your money is collateralized with the inventory you buy, knowing that you have a guarantee that within the first year, you're going to get back at least 100% of your investment. Guys, everybody here should be aspiring to have 1 or 2 stores of their own. And know that from a business side, you can now go and find clientele that have 20, 30 grand that they wouldn't mind investing into something like this. You know, so I come across some people all the time. I come across 60-year-olds. I'm actually gonna go meet one this week that says to me, I have this money, I want to invest it, I just don't want to tie it up for 10 years. And the annuity ties it up for 10 years. Do you have other alternatives? Yes. Yes. 90 days after you set up an e-commerce store, you know what happens? You start generating a check, a check, a check, a check. And that check is that 10 to 20% profit return. So you could turn an e-commerce store into your pension plan for retirement. You could, right? Sandra comes from a world where she was getting a salary all the time. This is her first year in the world of, you know, entrepreneurship with me. And one of the ideas that I have in mind is, let's set up an e-commerce store so that she can feel like she's getting a weekly number of a weekly check from the e-commerce business, and that becomes kind of like her salary. Her parents just retired last year, right? They moved to Colombia because the only thing they have to retire on is their Social Security checks. And living in Colombia has such a lower cost of living that they could, if they stayed in the US, they'd have to keep working because their Social Security checks wouldn't cover the bills. So rather than, right, think legacy, right, think family, rather than you saying, hey, out of my income, I'm gonna pay your living expenses, stay here in the United States. No, how about, listen, I'm gonna find a way to get 30 grand put away for you, and I'm gonna put it into this e-commerce business. This e-commerce business is gonna pay you 3 grand a month. There you go. Can you live on 3 grand a month? Yes. So what are they really getting? Is the $30,000 what they value, or the 3 grand a month what they value? It's the 3 grand a month. So for everybody here who wants to retire, I want you to understand something. It's not about how much money you have when you hit retirement. It's about how much income your money provides you when you hit retirement. It's not about having $1 million. Guys, $1 million would I'll tell you right now, if all you have is $1 million and you don't plan on making a return off that $1 million while you're in retirement, then that $1 million will only last you 10 years. Because in the next 20 years, 100 grand a year is like living a $30,000 life now. So what you want is the $1 million bucket to pay you $100,000 to $150,000 a year, every year, forever and ever and ever. What do you value more? The payout that it gives you or the $1 million? It's not the $1 million. It's the payout. 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 That's all that matters. I'm looking to retire by 50. You guys got me for 12 more years. 12 years in a week, right? Next week I turn 38. You guys got me for 12 more years. My goal at 50 years of age is to be able to generate anywhere from 300,000 to 500,000 of passive income. Passive income. Because at 50, I want to start doing other things in life. I want to focus on doing some non-for-profit organizations. You know, I want to focus on doing some charity work. I want to focus on traveling. I want to focus on really living versus waiting until I'm 60, 65 to do it. And this industry allows everybody that opportunity to do that, guys. Everybody an opportunity to do that. Everybody an opportunity to do it. If you leverage it the right way. You learn the lessons and you invest yourself into some of these strategies and you help people in the community put into these strategies, you can generate a very strong income. Anyways, I'm gonna let you guys get going. I appreciate it. I know it was a longer training, but I think it was what needed to happen. Hopefully you took something from it. Here's what I'm looking for those of you that are on right now. Give me your 2 takeaways on the Voxer. Give me your top 2 biggest takeaways on the Voxer. You know, and give me some suggestions on what you want to see me train on next, right? This whole concept of buy term, invest the difference, it happened because this week I came across a couple of those opportunities. So I said, I'm going to train on this idea. I'm going to train on this idea. Maybe next week, what I do is I train on the difference between whole life versus IUL. You know, I would love your top 2 biggest takeaways, as well as what else you'd like to see in the near future us train on. And please, the homework, please, I need this information. Go onto the website, go into the TKO Symposium, go to the link that I need for registration, and let me know if you're yes or going, no or going. And I'll see you guys on the flip. Have a good one. Be blessed. I'll stay on for another minute in case anybody has any questions, but you guys are free to go.